Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's unboxing video. Today we're going to take a look at what's inside this parcel. This is from Apple Boom. In here there should be a Leonardo Furore. Now I've got a number of other Leonardo pens, but this is the first time I've had a Furore, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it feels like when I compare it with the Memento Zeros, which, to be honest, I love those Memento Zeros. So join me now down on the mat. Let's take a look at what's in the box, explore the pen, fill it with ink, do a writing sample, and then I'll give you my first impressions. So here we are down on the mat. Here's a parcel from Apple Boom. Now there's a Leonardo pen in here. I get all my Leonardo pens through Apple Boom because, to be honest, it's cheaper to buy it from Europe than to buy it here in Australia. And I find that Apple Boom, their service is really good. I'm just going to open this up. I know I should really be careful with unpacking it, but I'm only going to cut off these ends. And then just a quick slice down the middle. Right, let's peel back this paper and see what we've got. Oh, it's well wrapped. I've got to be honest, I love the way that Leonardo pens look, but I also love when buying through Apple Boom the lengths that they go to wrap it and present it really well. It's these little things that really make a big difference. I mean, you must be used to that yourself when you buy things. You go to somewhere which goes above and beyond. Okay, well, this is telling you what it is. It's a Furore. Let's take a look around the box. So we've got Leonardo Officina Italiana. Got some more of this pattern on the bottom. So fairly nice, not overly busy, but you definitely know what pen you're getting, don't you? You know you're getting a Furore. I'm just going to ease this out. Now we've got here black box, Leonardo Officina Italiana, and their logo. Again, I'm just going around it, but it's plain, but just so you can see that. Right, let's ease this out. Ooh, it doesn't want to open. Come on. There we go. I thought the pen didn't want to come out to play. Let's just give it a little push from the other end. And let's see the inner box. So the inner box, again, it's black. Feels, well, I think it's cardboardy, but it does look a little bit leathery, doesn't it? Again, it's plain. There's nothing there. Let's open it up, shall we, and see the little beauty that's inside this box. So, slowly lifting the lid. I'm going to tease this as much as I can. There we go. So, before we look there, Leonardo Officina Italiana. Nice pen box. We've got the leaflet here, which just tells you a little bit about the pens. So just very quickly skimming through that. Put that to one side. Just look what it reveals. So this is a Leonardo Officina Italiana Furore in white salt, and it's got silver trim with it. Just going to gently ease the pen out. There we go. I like the way that's clipped in. So if I push that down so you can see it. So it's clipped in, so it's holding it really carefully. But then when I slowly pull it out, you can see it springs back underneath. So you know the pen's not moving around in the box. Move the box away, and I'll fetch in my pen rest. And then let's take this out of the wrapper. This is one of the things I like about Leonardo. The pens look nice when you see photographs. When you see them in person, wow, they're so much nicer. This is absolutely gorgeous. Just going to remove that. So this comes on all Leonardos. So I'm doing is taking that to one side. What I do with those is I attach them into my Galen Leather A5 portfolio, just so I've got them there so that I can see. So let's take a quick look around this pen. Let's start by just turning it over. This looks like it's been carved out of solid salt, doesn't it? I know it's a resin, but it's so pretty. You know, we've got different shades in there. It's all white, but it's a bit like, to me, so you're looking at ice. You know, you've got ice out of a bag and you've put it into a tub. And although this is all the same colour, you see different shades of it. And that's what I'm seeing here. So I see there's some then really nice shiny bits. So is it chatoyancy that people call it? Then we've got some dull parts and we've got some, I would say, like grey colours. If we go around, here we've got Leonardo and then we've got the model number. So pretty. I got this with the silver trim. There is a gold trim version, but I thought, well, white, I really need silver with that. So let's look through the pen. Starting at the top of the cap. To me, this is very much, reminds me of a torpedo. So we've got sharply coming up till we get to the top of the clip. The clip, nice and springy. And at the bottom of the clip is a wheel. Continuing with the cap, so it continues to taper until we get really to the bottom of the clip, then we go straight. We've got 2 metal bands there. I'm just going to turn it around again. Wow, this looks so nice. Then we've got a little bit more of the resin before a step down, and we can see on the main body another metal band. The main body itself, to my eye, there's a very slight taper. Until we get about 3/4 of the way down, then that taper steepens down until we get to this metal ring here. The end, it unscrews, so it's a blind cap to reveal the top of the converter. I'm going to screw that back on for a second. Then again, like at the end of the cap, it comes, so a bit like a torpedo. Let's take off the cap. So we go half, 1, nearly 1 1/4 turns to come off. So yeah, that's quite nice, that's quite livable. Let's take that off though to reveal the business end. Here we have it. We've got this gorgeous Leonardo steel nib. Let's take a closer look at the nib. So with this one, I decided to go for a 1.1 stub nib. I've got a couple of other stub nibs, but I thought, well, I've got a medium Leonardo, I've got a broad Leonardo. Let's go one up because it lets me explore those nibs. So this nib, it's a silver colour. So like all Leonardo nibs, it's got that little decorative border there, nice and plain. We then come down and we've got a breather hole. Below that, we've got the Leonardo logo, the word Leonardo, and then Italy. On the right-hand side of the nib, on the side, we've got 1.1 because it's a 1.1 stub nib. So it's a plain nib. What matters though is it writes. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how pretty or ugly a nib, we want to write with it. We don't want to sit there staring at it. From the nib, we've got a jump up to the section. The section, there's no lip at the bottom. So if I'm holding this, I've got nothing digging in, but I've also got nothing stopping my fingers from sliding down. So this is something I'm going to have to look at. My other Leonardos, well, they've got a lip at the bottom of the section, so you know that your fingers are down there. The section, it actually looks like it's the same width for the first, I'm going to say centimetre, then strongly tapers out until it gets to the bottom of the threads. Now at the top of the threads is that silver ring. What I'm going to do is twist this. And then at the bottom of the threads as well, we can see, here's the converter. Now yes, there's blue ink in here. Because it's from Apple Boom, I actually asked them to smooth the nib, so I know it's going to work when it gets to me. Let me just put this back on. So yeah, quite pretty looking. And to be honest, unless you knew about it, you wouldn't realise that that section comes apart below the threads. I was expecting it below that metal band, so that's something I've learnt already. Let's do some size comparisons. So I'll get this out of the way. I'll fetch in my multi-pen stand. There we go. That white on that black. Wow, what a difference, isn't it? First pens. Pilot Metropolitan, Lamy Safari. So the pen, definitely bigger than both of these. I would say by a centimetre longer than the Safari. So not a short pen, not a long pen there. We'll take off the caps And what I'm going to try and do is line all the nibs up so that the bottoms of the nibs are all in a line. There we go. So you can see we've got that number 6 nib there on the Leonardo. And then on the other two, much shorter nibs really, aren't they? When we've got the cap off, the Lamy and the Furore, to my eye, look about the same size. Let's get rid of these two. Now going to fetch in my Leonardo Momento Zero Grande. Well, that's a much bigger pen, isn't it? You can see the nibs, they're virtually identical. You know, you'd expect that. They're both number 6 nibs from Leonardo. The Grande, I would say, about maybe half a centimetre longer. Certainly not that much. Let's pop the cap back on. And then we'll pop the cap on the Furore. I keep wanting to say Leonardo, but they're both Leonardos. Let's line them up at the bottom. So again, with the cap on, the Grande just that little bit bigger. Let's move that out of the way. For my next comparison, I'm going to take a look at two pens in roughly the same price range. So the Furore, that cost me 230 Australian dollars. The first pen I'm going to fetch in is a TWSBI Draco. And this cost 215 Australian dollars. I'm also going to fetch in a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. That cost 224 Australian dollars. So I'm going to try and line all the bottoms up. So the Draco slightly shorter, but only just. But that Pro Gear Slim looks minute next to them, doesn't it? Let's take off the caps. Again, I'm going to try and line up the bottom of each nib. There we go. And then Sailor. So again, number 6 nib. I would say after that, the other two nibs are roughly the same size, but look at the size difference. Again, this Pro Gear Slim looks minute, doesn't it? I'm going to post them just to see what's like posted, because mainly that's Pro Gear Slim. It's so small. There we go. Knocking everything all over the place. So the TWSBI, I don't really think it's designed to be posted. It will do in a pinch, but I'm actually posting it onto the filler cap. The Pro Gear Slim still looks small compared to the Furore. If I take the end off that, so this is a posted Pro Gear Slim. Well, now it does look bigger, doesn't it? But we're not comparing like to like now. I'm going to take these out of the way. I'm going to clean out the pen. When I come back, we'll take a look at the ink. We'll fill the pen, do a writing sample, then I'll give you my first impressions. Okay, I'm back. So I've cleaned out the pen. Let's take a look at the ink. Well, it's a white pen. To be honest, that means I can use any colour ink I want. So what did I decide to use? Blue. Diamine Asa Blue. I thought, well, this, although it's called a salt, it reminds me of ice. And I thought, well, let's try a bluish ink. Because again, when you look at some ice, it's got that bluish tinge to it. I thought, well, let's give it a try. So then I looked through my blues and I thought, well, I haven't used Asa Blue in quite a while. So I'm going to give this one a try. It is, as it says, it's a nice blue. When I've got my swatch here, where it's been put on lighter, it's definitely a lot paler. So I'm hoping that when I'm writing with it, especially with the 1.1 stub nib, that might make a difference. So to fill it, I first have to fetch in Quickie Koala, then Asa Blue. Pop that in there. I use these koalas, I've got a dragon one as well, but it's so that it reduces the chance that I end up knocking the ink all over the place. So what I've done, I've taken off the body so we can actually see this converter filling up. The beauty with this pen, because of the blind cap I showed you earlier, the top part of this does stick out when you take that blind cap off. So you don't necessarily need to take the body off. But I thought, let's show this captured converter one more time. So it's already down to the bottom, so in it goes to the ink. And then up it comes. Taking a look, we've got a lovely fill there. So I've just given the nib and the section a small wipe. One of the things I've noticed, and this is something I'll have to watch, because of the white colour, I can actually see that this now has got a bit of a blue tinge. So I'm going to have to watch that, because the last thing I want to do is stain part of the pen. So I'll pop this together, and move this bottle of ink out of the way. Then I'll fetch in my trusty notepad. This is Optic Paper by Oxford. It's in a black and red notepad. I don't know if we can see the bottom of it there. So it's Oxford and black and red. Let's get this positioned and we'll do some writing. So we have got here a Leonardo Furore with a 1.1 stub nib. In it we've got Diamine Asa Blue. I like the look of that. Let's do our drying times. Immediate. Not as wet as I was expecting. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Wow, that's virtually dry. A little teeny smudge. Just for completeness, we'll leave it for 1 minute. After a minute, yep, that's dry. I'd expected that though. I'm going to reposition the mic so that you can hear the pen writing. In terms of the way it writes, that to me sounds similar to my other Leonardo pens. So there's a slight amount of feedback. You can definitely feel that. It's not glass smooth. There's a little bit of drag on the pen and you can hear it audibly as well. But I don't mind that. I actually quite like it. Let's look at line variation. So the first one, that's just going light, coming down. Then I'm going to add a bit of pressure. So very slightly wider line. Because this is a stub nib, I'm now going to go across. So there's 3, and I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on, but I'm not expecting much of a difference, which I don't see anywhere. That's the beauty of the stub nib. Because it's wider one way than the other, you get this different line width. So when I do my S's, you can see, depending on the bit of the nib that you're using, you get a definite different line width. I actually like this. I think it adds a lot of character to the writing. I'm going to turn the light off now and fetch in an LED light so we can explore this material under LED. So the lights are all off. It's pretty dark now in here. Let's fetch in that LED. Under the LED, again, it looks quite pretty. It's not sparkling as much, but saying that, it's also not glaring in my face as much as it was. Now, when I record, I do have quite a lot of light in the room. I'm going to take off the cap and then introduce the LED to the cap. That's pretty, isn't it? You know, you can definitely see the way that the material's made up by looking at it under this LED. Let's move that to one side, put the pen back together and turn the lights back on. How does the pen sit in the hand? So as you saw, I write unposted and it fits quite nicely unposted. Is it too short? No, I think it's just about spot on. It will post. It's quite secure when it's posted. To me, it feels it's gone too long now though, whereas unposted, it just feels about right. But again, that just depends on your hand size and what your preferences are. So what are my first impressions of this pen? Although you would think for a white pen, it would be plain. It's not, it's pretty. Really looks nice. It's the first time I've had a Furore. I like the look of it. I've got to be honest, I do prefer the Memento Zero shape, but that's a personal preference. I'm ever so glad I got the stub nib. I absolutely love the way this is writing. Just look at my sentence here. all the different line variation I'm getting. To me, that fetches interest to the writing that I'm doing. And by fetching interest, especially if you're writing a letter to someone or you're using it for a card, I think that just fetches that little bit more to the whole experience. Love the stub nib. I love the way it writes. As I said, it's a little bit of feedbacky, but I like that. I don't like overly smooth pens. And that's one of the issues I've got some Viscontis. They're steel nibs, but they're so smooth to write with. You know, yes, it's still nice. I still enjoy it, but this was a lot more pleasurable. Looking at the writing, again, as I said, yes, we've got that different line width. Got quite a bit of shading coming through. I may look at putting a sheening ink in here. I think with a nice sheening ink, I think it will look really nice. Inks I'm thinking, well, from last year's Inkvent calendar, the Garland, which is like a green colour. I think that would look really nice. So that might be something I experiment with once this is finished. I like the fact I can see what ink I've got. Yes, it's a capture converter, but I can still go in there and see how much ink that I've got. One of the things that lets the Memento Zero down, I can't actually see the ink level. And to me, especially if I'm about to go out to do something, I want to know I've got enough ink in there to do whatever I need to. But all in all, I love this pen. I'm really looking forward to spending more time with it. And over the coming months, I'll use it a bit and then I'll come back and I'll give you an update. I may even compare it to one of my other Leonardos. So this is the Leonardo Furore. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts about the Furore? Is it a shape you like? Do you prefer that Memento Zero shape? I'd be interested in your comments, so please drop them down below. Please hit the thumbs up button, liking and commenting, well, it just helps to drive the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.